Long before he took the form of a snake, before anyone called him Satan, he held the most honored role among all angels. Lucifer stood nearer to God's throne than any other, serving as his personal protector. His entire form shone with 9 radiant stones: sardius, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, emerald, and carbuncle, each gleaming like living flames, mirroring God's glory. God made him the leader of heaven's praise, blessing him with a voice like no other. But being that near to divine power gave rise to a dangerous desire. Lucifer wanted that praise for himself. Before time began, before the stars appeared, before light even had a name, heaven already existed. And there, one angel stood closer to God than all the rest combined. While multitudes of angels worshipped from afar, one remained near the throne. That being would one day bear the most dreaded name ever spoken. He was called Lucifer, the bringer of light. He wasn't just beautiful. He wasn't just gifted. He excelled beyond anyone and everything. Picture a being so flawless that others couldn't bring themselves to look straight at him. That was who Lucifer was. God had created legions of angels, maybe countless. Each one had a purpose. Some delivered messages, others protected sacred realms. But to Lucifer, God entrusted the highest duty of all. He was the cherub assigned to shield God's very throne, heaven's ultimate position. None stood closer to the Almighty, not a single one. Just think about that for a moment. What would it be like to stand beside endless power, to be trusted with the most vital role in existence? And when Lucifer sang, oh how he sang, everything in heaven would pause. His voice wasn't merely lovely, it was alive. It awakened emotions you didn't know existed, joy that overwhelmed you, peace so full it felt like floating. Angels would stop whatever they were doing just to hear him. He was wrapped in stones unknown to earth, each glowing as they reflected divine light in colors brighter than any rainbow. His wings blazed with a fire that burned cold and never dimmed. Wherever he stepped, light followed like a shadow made of gold. The only word that could describe him was perfect. No errors, no blemishes, no faults, or so it seemed. But perfection began to sour. Lucifer started to notice things. The way angels lowered their heads when he walked by, how they spoke his name in hushed reverence. Even Michael, heaven's mighty warrior, moved aside when Lucifer drew near. Lucifer had it all, a beauty so intense it could stun anyone, strength so vast it could crush anything, a voice so powerful it could move hearts. But all of it, every gift, was meant to honor someone else, to give glory, not receive it. He held the highest place among angels, but still, he was just that, a servant. Now put yourself in his place. You glance around and see endless angels watching you, imitating your ways, wishing they were like you. You hear their whispers praising your greatness. You feel it. You're the chosen one, the unique one, the morning light. And then you lift your eyes, and he's still there, always above, always greater, always will be. How would that sit with you? What would rise inside you? What would you begin to desire? Then one day, Lucifer looked into the glassy sea of heaven. He saw himself reflected back, and what he saw amazed him, his brilliance, his glory. And in that moment, for the first time since time had meaning, a dangerous idea sparked. One so twisted, no word yet existed for it. What if I could? The one who shined the most was about to cast the darkest shadow. How does something flawless shatter when nothing around it is broken? It happened on the most significant day heaven had ever seen, the moment when God shared his plan for mankind. Lucifer stood, as always, before the throne. But this time, all angels had been summoned. Countless wings filled the skies. Expectation filled the air. "I will create something entirely new," God declared. The angels leaned closer. New? What could top heaven? What could be more glorious than angels themselves? "I will make humans," he said, "shaped to resemble me, in my image." Wait, what did that mean? Made like God? The angels looked at one another in confusion. None of them had been made that way. They were messengers, protectors, servants. But these new beings, humans, would somehow reflect God's nature, think like Him, build like Him. Yet God wasn't finished. His next words would change everything forever. "One day, my son will become one of them. He will arrive as a child among them, and through him they will reign. Even angels will serve them." Lucifer felt those words strike him like a blow. Serve them? Serve them? These beings who didn't even exist yet? These fragile creatures made of soil and breath? He, Lucifer, was supposed to bow to dust. The choir of angels erupted in joyful praise, lifting songs over God's wondrous plan. But Lucifer, he didn't move. His thoughts were roaring, "No, no, 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 no. How could this be?" He was the guardian cherub, the dawn bringer. He was flawless. Just look at him, adorned in shining stones, surrounded by radiance, his voice a blend of power and sweetness. And now, God expected him to watch over creatures made of dust. Something deep within him broke, truly broke, like a crystal masterpiece shattering on stone. For the first time ever, Lucifer felt a strange, burning emotion, ugly, fierce, and heavy. It sparked quietly in his heart, like a flicker. Then it swelled and swelled, until it felt like he would burst open. Pride, the very first pride ever to exist. It surged through him like venom, and it felt amazing, so alive, as if he had been numb his entire life and had just woken up. Why should he bow to anyone? Why shouldn't others bow to him? He was stunning enough, strong enough, wise enough. As he looked at the rejoicing angels, a thought formed. Fools. You're celebrating your own chains. And then came the thought that sealed his fate. I would rule heaven better than God. Not a thought to serve, not a wish to improve, but a desire to replace. That's when the darkness rooted itself, and it didn't stop. It spread faster than wildfire, like ink in clear water, twisting, growing, tainting everything in its path. Lucifer smiled at the angels around him. He sang with them. He joined their praise. But inside, deep inside, he was already plotting, already working, already falling. The flawless one had just told the first lie. Now imagine this, persuading a third of heaven to leave God. Lucifer did it with only 7 words. You should have what God keeps from you. He didn't start with the mighty ones. Too obvious, too dangerous. He chose the unseen first. The angels who swept the halls, who guarded silent gates, the ones who barely got noticed. I see you, he whispered. God doesn't even remember your name, but I do. They lifted their eyes, stunned that the morning light had spoken to them. You deserve more, he told them. All of us do. Just 7 words, a touch of attention, a bit of praise, a lie wrapped in partial truth, like venom hidden in sweetness, easy to take in, fatal once inside. The quiet rumors spread like a blaze through dry grass. Lucifer's plan was perfect. He never used the word rebellion. He only asked clever questions. If God is truly loving, why does he insist on being praised? If we were made with freedom, why are we so limited? What truth is he keeping from us? It wasn't long before hidden meetings began. They whispered, Lucifer says we'll become like gods. We'll rule our own domains. We'll have followers of our own. Michael saw the shift first. Heaven's protector noticed how groups vanished when he neared. He heard half-finished words fall silent. He felt the pressure rising, like thunderclouds before lightning. "Something's not right," he said to Gabriel. "Something terribly wrong." They tried to warn others, but by then Lucifer had already tainted the hearts of many. "Of course they oppose us," he told his followers. "They're the ones God loves most. They don't want us to rise." And then the moment came. A choice had to be made. Each angel had to pick a side, stand with God or follow Lucifer, stay with the Maker or lift up the created, hold on to truth or accept the lie. 1/3 chose him. 1 out of every 3 looked at the one who breathed life into them and said, "We choose another." The final line was drawn when Lucifer strode toward the throne, not to kneel, but to take. "I will rise to the heavens. I will put my throne above all stars. I will become the highest." The words shattered heaven's stillness like a mirror hitting stone. Battle broke out at once, and it was like no war ever seen. "For the king!" came the cry. The armies of light answered. Lucifer formed a weapon from pure shadow. "For freedom!" he shouted as the rebels rushed in. One voice challenging eternity. Heaven quaked. Angels who once sang in harmony now clashed in rage. Blades of brilliance met shields woven from darkness. Wings that once soared now struck with fury. The sounds were terrifying, as if creation itself cried out. Lucifer fought with a rage that could burn galaxies. Michael fought with a force so pure it could break mountains into dust. He and Lucifer clashed at the heart of heaven, and their impact rippled through all of creation. But no one can overcome God, not even close. One by one, the rebels began to fall. Their light dimmed, their beauty turned grotesque, and Lucifer, he found himself on the ground, broken, his once glorious face twisted in fury. "Leave!" God thundered, and they were cast out. 1/3 of heaven's angels tumbling into darkness below. Heaven now knew war, it knew loss, it knew sorrow. They were defeated, but still alive. Thrown down, but not erased. Satan struck the earth like a bolt of fire. When he rose, he set his sights on something new. 2 humans. Before shadows ever touched Eden, Satan had already arrived. But he wasn't going to make the same mistake. In heaven, he had been too bold, too loud. Now, he would use lies like a master artist uses a brush, delicate, hidden, precise, until it was too late. Adam and Eve were perfect targets. They had never heard anything false, never seen death, never felt fear. Like children who didn't know what pain was, they were unguarded, and Satan was ready to teach. He watched silently for days, learning how they moved, what they liked. Eve often wandered alone in the morning. Adam's attention drifted easily. They were both drawn to the garden's center where 2 trees stood side by side. One gave life, and they could eat freely from it. The other was forbidden, the tree of knowing good and evil. "Perfect," Satan whispered. He took the shape of a serpent, not a frightening one. This creature was dazzling, second only to the humans in beauty. It walked upright, its body wrapped in gemstones that shimmered in the sunlight. As it slithered, it looked like a rainbow brushing through the grass. Satan waited near the forbidden tree, still and watchful. Eve came, humming softly. She paused to admire the tree, just like she always did, so near, so curious, so unaware. "Did God really say you're not allowed to eat from any of the trees?" the serpent asked. Eve startled. "You can speak," she said. "Of course I can," he replied. "But tell me, is that what he said?" Satan's approach was subtle. He didn't give orders. He asked questions. He didn't shove her. He gently pulled her in. He made her defend the rule, and in doing so, she began to look at it through a new lens. "No," Eve replied, calming down. "We can eat from all the trees, except that one." "If we eat it, we'll die," Eve said. The serpent chuckled, not cruelly. It was the kind of laugh you'd give a child who said something naive. "Die? No, you won't die. Can I tell you a secret?" he asked. Eve leaned closer. "Who doesn't like a secret? When you eat that fruit, your eyes will be opened," he said softly. "You'll see the world like God sees it. You'll understand what he understands. You'll become divine yourselves. That's why he's holding it back." Eve's expression changed. "Holding it back? Take another look. A real look," the serpent encouraged. The fruit shimmered. It looked flawless, plump, radiant. And in that moment, Eve stopped seeing it as forbidden. She saw potential being hidden from her. "God has it all," the serpent whispered. "Every bit of it, all wisdom, all authority. And he leaves you here, bare and unaware, like pets in a cage. Don't you crave more? Don't you think you're meant for more?" Eve lifted her hand toward the branch, then paused, then reached again. She called out. He came quickly. She began to speak. "I heard everything," Adam said. He hadn't left. He had stayed, listening in silence, considering. They exchanged glances, then looked at the fruit, and then at each other again. Side by side they reached up. The fruit came off in a single motion, too smooth. As if it had waited to be taken, Eve tasted it first, then Adam. Eden wasn't ripped away, it was exchanged. That garden died with a single bite. Innocence fell like glass onto stone. Their eyes opened, not to wisdom, but to fear, guilt, and sorrow, exactly as Satan planned. From that moment in Eden, his darkness began to reach through history. But God had already spoken of Satan's defeat, and those words stayed with him like a shadow he couldn't escape. "One day, a child born of woman will crush you." That was God's promise. A child, a human child, would end him. The thought consumed Satan. Every newborn made him uneasy. Every pregnant woman felt like a possible threat. He had to prevent that child from ever being born. Satan made his move early, through Cain and Abel. He approached Cain out in the fields when jealousy had already taken root. "Your younger brother thinks he's better than you," Satan murmured. "His blood would nourish your land nicely." Cain's fists clenched. "My own brother? Eliminate the rival," Satan said. And Cain did, the first human death. Abel's blood seeped into the soil, and Satan laughed. If people kept turning on each other, how could that promised child arrive? But still, children were born. So Satan expanded his tactics. He started teaching humans things they were never meant to know: violence, witchcraft, ways to wound each other that even he hadn't imagined. The world grew so dark that God's heart ached. A flood came to wash it all away, but Satan couldn't drown, and Noah's family lived on. Then came Babel. Satan tried a different path: mass confusion. He convinced people to unite with one goal: build a tower straight into heaven. Prove you don't need God. But God split their languages and scattered them like leaves in the wind. More nations, more chances for the child to come. Egypt became Satan's stronghold of cruelty. The people chosen to bring that child into the world were enslaved there. Satan whispered in Pharaoh's ear, "Those Hebrew workers, they're growing in number. They'll rise up, kill all their baby boys, drown them in the Nile." And countless babies were lost. But one floated away in a tiny basket: Moses. He would grow to lead them out of slavery. Satan didn't stop. He used giants to frighten them, wicked kings to chase them, their own temptations to make them fall. Then came David, the king from whose bloodline the promised child would eventually be born. Satan lured him into murder, but David turned back to God, and then prophets began to speak with details: where the child would be born, Bethlehem, that he would come from a virgin. Satan tried to silence them, but their words were already written in ink. Then one quiet night, everything changed. Angels lit up the skies above a small village, singing, rejoicing. The child had finally come. Satan rushed to see it with his own eyes. In a manger lying in straw was a newborn. But this wasn't just another child. The moment Satan saw him, a chill ran through him. This was God's own Son, wrapped in flesh, the very one who would someday crush him. When Jesus became a man, Satan waited for a chance to confront him. He found it in the wilderness. 40 days, no food, no people, just hunger and silence. "Turn these stones into bread," Satan whispered. "You're starving." Jesus said no. "Throw yourself from the temple. Prove you're truly God's son. Number, bow to me, and I'll give you the world." No pain, no cross, just glory. Number. Satan fled, but he wasn't finished. If he couldn't corrupt Jesus, he would end him. The crucifixion would be his masterpiece. Or so he believed. The sky darkened, hell roared. When Jesus gave up his spirit, Satan thought the battle was over. Joy erupted in the pit. 3 days of celebration. God's Son was dead, the one meant to crush Satan, gone. But then came the third day, and death itself broke apart. The tomb didn't just open, it exploded in glory. The stone didn't roll away gently, it blasted free. And Jesus stepped out, not limping, not bruised, but full of unstoppable life, more alive than anyone before him. The king stood tall. Satan's smile disappeared. The laughter in hell went silent. Every demon froze in fear. "No," Satan muttered. "No, no, no." But it was far worse than just a resurrection. When Jesus came back, he wasn't empty-handed. He held something. Keys, the keys of hell and death, the very ones Satan once controlled. Jesus had walked into Satan's stronghold and stripped him of everything. That happened 2,000 years ago. Since that day, Satan's time has been ticking away, and he knows it. He can read. He knows how it all ends. It's written clearly in Scripture, and he's read those words countless times. He knows he's already lost. He knows when it happens. He knows exactly how it unfolds, and that knowledge terrifies him. So what does someone do when they've already been defeated? They try to drag others down with them. Right now, this very moment, Satan is active, not like a cartoon monster hiding in your closet. He's far more clever than that. He uses the same trap that destroyed him: pride. You don't need God. You've got this on your own. You deserve more. That same poison, he offers it to you now. The Bible doesn't just tell us Satan's past, it also tells us his ending. And it's not what most people expect. There's no epic showdown, no equal forces clashing, no fireworks or long battle. Jesus returns, but not as a newborn in a stable, as the rightful king. The heavens rip open like torn cloth. Angels flood the skies like an ocean bursting through a dam. Every person on earth sees it happen. Death itself has a deadline. Satan summons his full force. Every demon, every fallen spirit, every person who rejected God. They swarm like insects. Countless, possibly billions, the largest army the world will ever know. They come equipped with unthinkable weapons. Strategies within strategies. They march toward Jesus with everything they've got, ready for an endless war. Then Jesus says one word, just one, and everything ends. No fight, no resistance, no chance. Satan drops to the ground, paralyzed. His army scatters like shadows in sunlight. His followers vanish like mist in rain. And then comes justice, not from God himself, but from a single angel, just one. That angel grabs Satan by the throat and hurls him into a lake of fire. Not fire like we know it. Flames that never stop burning, yet never consume. Pain that never ends, yet never brings death. This is for you, the angel says, and casts him in. The skies shift like dawn breaking. The fire closes over the final lie. His screams echo for what feels like eternity. Justice turns the lake into light. Fallen, forgotten. The war is done. No escape routes, no appeals, no do-overs, forever sealed. And the world? It becomes what it was always meant to be. Flawless, radiant. A place where no one cries, because there's nothing left to cry over. No funerals, because Satan can't harm anyone anymore. It began with pride, and pride is how it ends. The morning light chose shadows. His arrogance broke paradise, but another Eden story still changes everything. You've probably heard that Eve was made from Adam's rib, right? That's not actually true. An ancient Hebrew manuscript over 3,000 years old uses the word tsela, which doesn't mean rib. It means side. This mistranslation has buried the truth for generations. The truth: God didn't create woman from a tiny piece of man. He created her from his full side, as his equal, together, not ranked, not lesser, side by side from the beginning. Click the video on screen now to discover what really happened in Eden. What you'll learn might just change everything.